Every book holds a new idea, a different perspective, or a life-changing story. Do you love the idea of learning but can't find the hours in the day to read? Well, you have come to the right place. Welcome to Justin's Bibliotheca, the show where we do the reading for you. Each week, I dive deep into a fascinating book, unpack its core ideas, and deliver a complete summary right here for you to enjoy. Today, we're exploring a book that will completely change the way you think about money and happiness. We're unlocking the wisdom of the psychology of money by Morgan Housel. Do you ever feel overwhelmed by life? This book will provide you a different point of view. The first chapter is No One's Crazy. People's financial decisions are heavily influenced by their unique life experience, not just their intelligence. What seems crazy to one person might be perfectly reasonable to another because they have different economic conditions and perspective of value. A simple example is the generation gap. Something makes sense to ourselves, our parents may have a different point of view. The second chapter is luck and risk. Every outcome in life, including financial success, is influenced by luck and risk, not just individual effort. Bill Gates' success wasn't just due to his talent, but also because he attended a high school with an advanced computer. His equally talented friend, Ken Evans, died young in a mountaineering accident, a one-in-a-million risk. Success can be a loosey teacher. It seduces smart people into thinking they can lose. Failure can also be a loosey teacher. It makes smart people think their decisions were terrible, when sometimes they were just reflect the unforgiving reality of risk. The third chapter is Never Enough. The feeling of not having enough is dangerous. Social comparison fuels an endless desire, which is a battle no one can win. One ability we need is to get our goal to stop moving. When we are never satisfied and our expectations rise with our results, we feel increasingly empty. Chapter 4 is Confounding Compounding. The power of compounding is astonishing. Good investing isn't necessarily about seeking the highest returns, but about seeking pretty good returns that you can stick with for a long time. Warren Buffett's wealth primarily comes from his consistency as an excellent investor for 3/4 of a century. His secret is time and staying long. Chapter 5 is Getting Wealthy via Staying Wealthy. Getting wealthy requires taking risks and being aggressive. Staying wealthy requires humility, understand your wealth can be taken away, and acknowledging that some of your success was due to luck. We need to be always having a room for error to navigate an uncertain road. Buffett is successful also because of what he didn't do. He didn't get over leverage, didn't panic sell during recessions, didn't tarnish his business reputation, and didn't stick to a single strategy. Rick Guerin, though as much as Buffett, was in a hurry to get rich and used the leverage, he was ultimately forced to liquidate his holding during a market downturn and lost his fortune. Planning is important, but it's more important to know sometimes the plan may not go according to the plan. Chapter 6 is Tells You Win. A few events account for major outcomes. Most of Walt Disney's early cartoons lost money, but the long-tail event of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs changed everything for the company. George Soros said, "It's not whether you're right or wrong, but how much money you make when you're right and how much you lose when you're wrong. You can be wrong half the time and still make a profit." Seventh is freedom. The highest form of wealth is the ability to wake up every morning and do whatever I want today. The greatest intrinsic value of money is its ability to give you control over your time, gradually allowing you to achieve independence. For many modern knowledge workers, the nature of their job means work hours are no longer confined to clocking in and out. The mental work is always on, reducing their control over time. When older people look back of their lives, they cherish quality friendships and unconstructed time with their children, not the accumulation of wealth. Chapter 8 Man in the Car Paradox. People desire wealth to gain the respect and admiration of others. The paradox means when you see someone driving a fancy car, You rarely think, that person driving so cool. But you think, if I had that car, people would think I'm cool. People admire the car itself, not the driver. Don't blindly follow trends. Do what you like. Chapter 9 is Wealth is what you don't see. We tend to judge wealth by what people have, like cars, houses, social media photos, but the truth is, wealth is unspent income. It's invisible. It's the fancy car, the diamond, the clothes we didn't buy. Becoming a millionaire and spending $1 million are polar opposites. Wealth provides future options, flexibility. But sometimes we need to forget the current consumption. Chapter 10 Save Money. Accumulating wealth has less to do with your income or investment returns and more to do with your saving rate. Learning to be happy with less money. This is easier and more controllable than increasing your income. Saving provides control over time, options, and flexibilities. In a hyper-connected, automated world, intelligence is no longer a reliable advantage, but flexibility is the price's competitive edge. Chapter 11 Reasonable is easier than rational. When making financial decisions, don't aim for cold rationality, aim for reasonable behavior. Being reasonable is more realistic and easier to stick with long term. Harry Markowitz allocated his assets 50% each to bonds and stock, not only for mathematical optimization, but because he felt it was a reasonable allocation that would minimize his future regret. Love your investments. This emotional connection can provide the endurance to stick with them through tough times. Chapter 12 Surprise. Things that have never happened before happen all the time. History is not a map with future. Experience often leads to overconfidence rather than a better predictive ability. It's danger of over-relying on investment history. Major events that impact the economy and stock market are often unprecedented and predictable, like the Great Depression, World War II. Assuming the worst past events set the boundaries for future is a failure of imagination. The phrase, it is different, but the world does change. Learning from history should focus on universal patterns of human behavior, not the specific trends or traits. Chapter 13 is Room for Error. The importance of a room of error, acknowledge uncertainty. Plan do not going well. Like Texas poker, the card player, they know they are playing a game of probabilities, not certainties. They need a large enough attempt to withstand the swing of bad luck. Graham said we need to know the margin of safety. It renders prediction unnecessary. A room for error is not just conservative. It increases your endurance, allowing you to stay in the game long enough to benefit from low probability, high payoff events. Bill Gates and Warren Buffett both emphasizes the importance of holding large cash reserves to handle unexpected events and market volatility. Adopt a dumbbell financial strategy. One part of your money takes risk, whether the other part remains extremely conservative. Chapter 14 You Change. It's easy to imagine a goal, but pursuing it under a stress of real life is another matter. The theory of underhill of history illusion. People are aware of how much they have changed in the past, but they underestimate how much they will change in the future. It means we need to avoid extreme financial events, maintain a moderate saving rate. How we spend the time. It increases the odds of sticking to the plan and avoiding future regrets. Chapter 15 Nothing is free. The trade-off of market returns of volatility. Fear, doubt, uncertainty. Trying to get the return without being willing to pay the price often backfires and leads to worse results. To assume market volatility as the fee for admission to get returns. Understand it as a price. Strengthen you stick with investment for the long term. Chapter 16 You and Me. Bubbles often form because investors are influenced by people playing a different game, like different goal or time horizons. The dot-com bubble, they traded push-up stock prices, while the valuation might have been reasonable for them, but it was a disaster for long-term investors. So the key point is to understand your own time horizon and don't be swayed by the actions of people playing different games. Define your game and stick with your plan. Chapter 17 Pessimism versus Optimism. They are both necessary for our life, they're both good, but there are some features for them. Like for pessimism, it looks rational, it looks smart, ready for the disappointment. so we can avoid extreme risk sometimes. And for optimism, it's seen as naive, we can be more aggressive in the investing. For chapter 18, when you believe anything, stories are the most powerful force in the economy. They can drive or hinder economic progress. Everyone has an incomplete view of the world, but our brains instinctively create complete, coherent narratives to make sense of it. This leads to hindsight bias, the illusion that the past was predictable and understandable. This makes us overconfident in our ability to predict the future, which is a dangerous error in finance. Understand future is unpredictable. Prepare a room for error. The wider the gap between what you hope and what you need for a successful outcome, the safer you are. Finally, I'll provide a summary to conclude all the chapters. First, financial advice is complex and personal. There are no standard answers. Second, luck and risk are existed. Focus on what you can control and do the best on it. Third, wealth is restraining unnecessary current consumption in exchange for more options in the future. Fourth, prioritize peace of mind over maximizing returns. Fourth, prioritize peace of mind over maximizing returns. Fifth, time is the most powerful force in investing. It allows small accumulation to grow large and fade mistakes. Sixth, the long tail effect means many investments will fail, but a few successes can make up for it. Control your losses and focus on the overall portfolio, not individual investments. Seventh, time is priceless. Do everything to regain control of it. Eighth, you don't need a reason to save because we are saving for the things we cannot predict. Ninth, we need to know uncertainty are common fees of investing. 10th, a room for error is essential. 11th, avoid extreme financial decisions. Personal goals change over time, and extreme decisions are hard to maintain. 12th, define the game you're playing, mainly time period and target price. Don't be influenced by people playing a different game. 13th, respect the math. There's no single right decision in finance, only the decision match you. Thanks for hanging out and geeking out about the book with me. If you like this kind of content, press like and subscribe and turn on the notifications. Then you will not miss the next one. I post a new summary once or twice a week. And I'd like to see you again in our next chapter.